Agotavach, this is Gemara Moed Katan Daf Yomi. Today's shir has been generously sponsored Le'ilui Nishmas Yaakov ben Nachum ben Harav Pesach Zelig. The learning the entire Chabura should be a tremendous chos neshama. A yid that was lit nifter last Shabbos, and I'm told I did not have this chos to know this yid, but he was learning the daf together with us. Echad b'nei Chabura. So therefore, we'd like to sponsor, and his family would like to sponsor all his nieces and nephews, the entire Katz family, as a tremendous chos neshama as they finish their week of Shiva. Emir Hashem, Harav Yaakov Nachum and Harav Pesach Zelig, his neshama should be oiled to a higher and higher place in Canadian Shalmaila. The schos of the entire Chabura's learning should bring a tremendous nechama to the family, and as well a tremendous schos for Rav Yaakov Nachum ben Rav Pesach Zelig.
Learning should be a tremendous chos shidduch mishachayim and devar shemim says gludash and this v'shan vokal over the chayv shavshendel this glubas shavshendel Shema ben Chaya Ofek ben Ateli Shloimo ben Libby Zava Rochel Bastina. They should find the shidduch Pekarei Mamish as well as chos for Shema Shal Yos ben Reveda ben Revega Chayim Tzar Shamsin Reis Zar Bas Knan Dik Basim Bas Chaysara Yosef Yal ben Mindel Lezer Pertz Shalei Shalom Bas Dami Shaviga Shulchan Shmol ben Tildin Reizim B'Chayv Basmina Dianid Shavin Nesiv Hegrova Rivka Shem Dazu Chlez Amr ben Yaakov Tzar Bas Kila Sham Yisar ben Esther Yehudis Rafal Avram and Rachel Adei Shimshon ben Chana Abigail Perel Bas Esther Miriam Gabriela Bas Bluma Yisrael Yitzchak ben Dina the B'Sai Sha'ar Chayli Yisrael. We pick it up in the bottom of Yud Zayin Omid Bees, 2 lines from the bottom. Tanu Rabbanan. And before we begin, I'll just throw out there that it is the Shabbos Mavarchim today. It will be Rosh Chodesh this week. Anyone who'd like to get involved in the schos of the learning for the month of Adar, please be in touch. And here we begin, Tanur Rabbanan, 2 lines, for the wide lines, Kol Elu Sha'amru, everything that which we said, Mutaran Legaleach V'Moyed, everyone that we said that you're allowed to Legaleach, you're allowed to take a haircut on Chol HaMoed, Mutarim Legaleach V'Mei Avelon. You're allowed to get a haircut in the days of Avelus, and today really we're going to focus primarily on the halachas of Avelus. So if you could get a haircut on Chol HaMoed, you could get a haircut on Avelus. Ask the Gemara on the first wide line in Yizayim and Beis, V'Tanya Asurin. We learned the exact opposite in the Raisa. Explains the Gemara, Rav Chisda Rav Shila Ki Tanya Hacha Mutarin Bishetakfuay Valav. When do we say it's permissible? Not in any case of Avelus. In a case where it's takfua that it grabbed hold of, that they occurred in succession, there was one Avelus and another Avelus. So when there's back-to-back Avelus, an extreme case, that's when we're giving more leniencies and liberties in the rules of Avelus. But if not, a regular case of Avelus, you're right, you would not to be able to take a haircut. Ask the Gemara 1 second. So then if the case is this unique case, Avelus and Avelus back to back, and that's why we're being makel. So says the Gemara, so why specifically in the cases that we are lenient on Chol HaMoed, we'll be lenient over here in Avelus? Afilu kuli almanami. Everything should be waived because of the unique circumstances of Avelus back to Avelus. Titania, as we learned in a Raisa, 3 lines into the white lines. Takful Avelus zachazeh. What happens? You let to lighten up your hair. Hich mitzayir of your hair becomes heavy, then mekel betaroi. Collide it with a razor, umachabik sos b'mayim, let to clean your clothing. So it seems that this itself is a heter. This is irrelevant to anything else coming up from Medina Sayyam, coming out of jail, mitzayira, etc. It sounds like there's unique allowance for back-to-back avelus. So why are you telling me it's only in these cases? Answers the Gemara, Itmar Allah, we learned on this, Amar Rav Chisda betar v'loy b'misparayim. That heter, the heter of back-to-back avilus was with what? That you could cut your hair with a razor, now with a scissor. B'mayim, you can use water to wash your clothing, v'lo b'neser. You can't use detergent, v'lo b'oil, a different type of detergent. And in our case, we're being makel even for that. So the unique leniency, as we're starting today, that whatever we said about Chol HaMoed is motor. You come home from jail, you get out of jail, come home from Medina Sayyam, etc., applies to avilus. What type of avilus? Back-to-back avilus. And what's the chiddush? Because back-to-back avilus always contains leniencies. The chiddush and the novelty is that you can even use a scissor, you can even use detergent, etc. Amar Rav Chisda says, Rav Chisda says, you know, we see from over here, the basic sum total of everything we just said is that a regular avel cannot do laundry, and only in these unique cases are we being makel. Says the Gemara, 4 lines from the bottom, Tanu Rabbanon. Kishem Shamar Asli Galech Memayid. Just like you're not allowed to give a haircut to Cholamayid, Kach Asur Lital Sipar Nayim B'Mayid if you're Rav Yehuda. You're not allowed to cut your nails. Rav Yosi Matir. Ukishem Shavru Aval Asli Galech Meyavilav. Just like an Aval is not allowed to get a haircut, Kach Asur Lital Sipar Nayim Meyavilav. You're also not allowed to cut your nails during Avelus. Divrei Rav Yehuda. Rav Yosi Matir. So 2 different cases. Case number 1 is you can't cut your nails. Case number 2 is you can't cut your toenails. Excuse me. Case number 1. One more time. Case number 1 was Kshev Shamar Asli Galeach Asr Litol Sipar Nayim, and case number 2 was Asr Litol Sipar Nayim. 1 second, something happened over here. One more time. Let's go back up. I lost focus. Excuse me. Tanu Rabbanan, 4 lines to the bottom. Just like it's forbidden to get a haircut, you're not allowed to cut your nails. On Cholamayid, Rav Yosi says you're allowed to. Just like Ukshem Sha'amru, Avol Asli Galeach Me'avelo, you're not allowed to get a haircut during Avelos. Asli Basibranai Me'avelos. Those are the dinim. Excuse me. The first thing is you're not allowed to cut your nails at Cholamayid. The second thing is you can't cut your nails during Avelos, and in both cases, Rav Yosi allows you both to cut your nails during Avelos and nails during Cholamayid. Amar Ula, what is the psak halacha? Halacha ki Rav Yehuda ba'avel. Halacha ki Rav Yosi b'mayid. He splits. Half we go with Avelos, Rav Yehuda, we're going to be Machmir, and half will be Mekel, like Rav Yosi. Shmuel Amar says, Shmuel, as we turn over to Daf Yud Ches Amud Aleph, Halacha ki Rav Yosi b'mayid u ba'avel. We're Mekel in both cases. Why? And here comes an incredible, important rule. Amar Shmuel, Halacha ki Rav Mekel ba'avel. The rule is, in Hilchos Avelos, we go with the lenient opinion. Now, this does not mean that any Shiloh we just say is mutter. This does not mean that any Machlokes we take the lenient opinion. The simple understanding is within the Gemara, when we have a Machlokes, we're going to go with the lenient opinion, which really is what, no, not Taisus over here says. Taisus elsewhere on Daf Chav Dalet is going to point this out as we'll get there. But that is the reason we're passing Rav Yosi in both cases. Why halacha k'divrei hamekel b'chol hamoed. Says the Gemara, a story, Pinchas Achua de Mar Shmuel, Pinchas the brother of Mar Shmuel, Itur Rabbi Milsa, something happened, meaning something was nifter al Shmuel Meshal. So Shmuel came, Lemishal Taima Minei, Shmuel went to console him to be Menachem Avel, Chazunu Letarfei Davin Efishan. What did Shmuel see? He saw that his nails were very long, he didn't cut his nails. Amar Le, Milo Shaglitzalu. Shmuel says, why didn't you cut your nails? Amar Le, even the day Ave, Mimizal, Zilz's Bay. So this Pinchas, the brother of Shmuel, says, Shmuel, if this happened to you, would you be so mizalz? Would you be so cheap? Meaning, if you, Shmuel, were an Avel, would you be so callous and so light just to say to go cut your nails? Kulei hai. And says the Gemara, as we've seen many times, it was like an error that came from the ruler that the Pinchas, the brother of Shmuel, said that if it was by you, Shmuel, what would you do? And what happened? And things happened to Shmuel, and he became an Avel. So now Pinchas, the tables have turned, then the Pinchas is coming to visit Shmuel. So Shmuel took his nails and threw them at Pinchas. Amar Leis, that didn't last long. Bris Krusa Litzvazayim, do not have a bris with your mouth. You gotta watch your mouth. How careful we have to be, as Rashi says. So you have to be super duper careful with what comes out of your mouth. And he said, Pinchas, look what happened from the mere words that you said. And the Gemara now points out, where do we know this concept? They have to be super careful. That what you say, Shenamar. Avram Avinu by the Kedah tells the lads, tells Yitzchak that we're going to come back. Shulachem boy imachamor. We're going to go to Nishtachaveh, and then Vinashuba we're going to come back Elechem. Excuse me. Shulachem boy imachamor. Wait here. Excuse me, I read that wrong. Shmuel says, wait here. That's Shmuel. Avram says, wait here, and I'm going to come back. V'ani v'hanar nelcha koyin. I and the nar, I and Yitzchak will go. V'nishtachaveh. We're going to serve Hashem. V'noshuva elechem. We're going to come back. So Avraham Avinu's prophetic words that he says, I'm going to bring Yitzchak back. And that's indeed what happened. That Yitzchak came back with Avraham. They shechted the ayil instead of Yitzchak. Says the Gemara, let's delve a bit deeper into the Avel, doing his nails, cutting his nails during the Avelus. Says the Gemara, Savaminei Tiad in the Regalite. What did Shmuel mean? What are you not allowed to cut? Says the Gemara, the hands are that which you are allowed to cut. The foot is what you're not allowed to cut. No. Both are equal. You're not allowed to cut either one. And Amar Avachi Bar Yashi Amar Rav Ubegunstera Aser. And what are you not allowed to cut with? Not that you're just not allowed to cut your nails. On Shabbos, for example, you can't cut your nails. What can you not cut your nails with on Shabbos? Can't cut with your teeth. You can't cut with a scissor. You can't cut with anything. It's true, there are different levels. The scissor will be a daraisa, the nail clippers will be a daraisa. To bite your nails will be a daraban. But says Rav Chia Bar Ashi Amar Rav, over here it's different. The gunstera, the scissor, that is what is forbidden on Chol HaMoed. But as Rashi says, the Mizbarayim. But if you're going to do it, you're going to cut your nails with your mouth, that will be permitted. And now, based off of this, says the Gemara, Shem Rabba, V'kamina Kamid Rav Yochanan. Shem Rabba says, I was in front of Rav Yochanan Bei Midrash in Beis Medrash B'chol Shamoid, V'shaklina Litofrei B'shinei. And what did he do? He bit his nails with his mouth, V'zarkinu, and he threw them in the Beis Medrash. Again, it's Chol HaMoed, which is one of the entities that we just said you're not allowed to cut your nails. And what do we see? We see this great gadol Rav Yochanan is sitting there biting his nails and leaving them in the Beis Medrash. So comments the Gemara, Shma Mina Tzlas. From this story, we learn three beautiful dinim. Number one, Shma Mina Tzlas. Obviously, you're allowed to cut your nails, but Chol HaMoed, meaning with your mouth, biting your nails. Ushma Mina Ein Ba Mishamiyus. And number two, we see is obviously not repulsive. You're allowed to bite them. There's actually halacha that you're not allowed to do something repulsive and disgusting. We see Rav Yochanan himself was biting his nails. Obviously, it's not repulsive. And number three, you're allowed to throw them in the Beis Medrash. Just to point out one din that we say you're allowed to bite your nails, not repulsive. We just have to point out the comment of the Chazon Ish. When the Chazon Ish would see someone biting his nails during the week, he would say, "You're Machal Shabbos." I don't know if he said it to him or someone else. And what do you mean you're Machal Shabbos? It's a Tuesday. What do you do wrong? And the Chazon Ish explained that those who bite their nails on a Tuesday bite their nails on Shabbos. You have a bad habit, you're going to do it on Shabbos. And it's usher, so you're Machalel Shabbos, the care we have to take. But we see over here that what's allowed, a Chol HaMoed, if someone forgot to cut his nails, bite your nails, no big deal. Not that you're a nail biter. Bite your nails for now to fix your nails. And what can he do with them? Throw them in the shul. Says the Gemara, Amy, is that true? There are three things that we said about nails. This we have learned. We have learned this Gemara together. It's Gemara Nidva. I think we saw it elsewhere. Perhaps we saw it in Brachos. That what? If you bury your nails, you're a tzaddik. Sarfan, if you burn your nails, chasid, you're pious. Zarkan, Rasha. If you throw your nails, you're Rasha. Taimamai. You know why? Shemata'abar aleim isha ubra. A pregnant woman will walk on over your nails. V'tabal isha and rachmanas l'slan. It can cause the woman to have a miscarriage. This is one of the real things. There's all these old wives' tales out there, but this is a real one. You can't leave your nails lying around, so someone's going to walk over, God forbid, and miscarriage. So ask the Gemara, how was Rabbi Yochanan throwing his nails in the middle of the Beis Medrash? Says the Gemara, simple answer, baby. Women are usually not walking throughout the Beis Medrash. And if you're going to suggest him the and maybe you'll suggest 1 second, maybe sometimes the nails might go outside of the Beis Medrash, so we'll kick them, etc. And it's going to go outside, meaning, maybe they're going to be swept and collected together and go outside. So what happens when they sweep? Now you have the nails lying in the middle of the street. He says the Gemara, a fascinating answer. It's Halach L'Maisa brought down by the Mishnah Brura and the Shulchan Aruch Harav. Kima de ishtani. Once they move their location, if I buy my nails here and I spit them here on the floor, that's the saikana of a pregnant woman who walks over them. But if I sweep them to another room, that is not the saikana. Whether it has to be another room, whether it's just another area in the same room is not clear. But we'll leave it at that. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav, says Rav Yehuda, the name of Rav, 3 lines from the wide line to Zug Ba Machmasan. A Zug, a pair of Talmidei Chachamim came from Machmasan, Lefnei Rabbi. And who were they? Umazucha Masni, Umazucha learned a little differently. Zubag me Machmas me Chamasan, Lefnei Rabbi. And what happened? They came in front of Rabbi Ubiksha Menu, and they asked as follows: Sibarnayim. They said, "Are you allowed to cut your nails?" V'hitter lahem, and Rabbi said, "You could cut your nails." And the Gemara comments on the first wide line, "V'yikshu mimenu safa." And if they would have asked about the hair above the lips, the mustache, hitter lahem, Rabbi would have as well been mekel. Ushmol amar v'yikshu mimenu safa. They actually asked about trimming the mustache. V'hitter lahem, and Rabbi allowed them. But says Gemara, why? Why you let it trim your mustache? Amar avitel safra mishmi derababa sfaza mizavis lezavis. It means from corner to the mouth and corner to the mouth, that's where it's allowed. And Amar Rav Ami, ubesafa hame'akeves. It doesn't mean any case you can trim your mustache. It means if it's blocking the food you can't eat. I guess it's quite a long mustache blocking your mouth. I don't know if it means you physically can't eat. It means it's getting, it's going to get quite disgusting. The food's going to get involved. That's when you have a heter to trim your mustache. It happened to me, and that's when I could shave my mustache. Who Amma, and because it's the same person, we have another, I don't want to call it random, another sidebar. I got it to teaching that Baro in the days of Moshe Rabbeinu was one Amma tall, Ziknai Amma, his beard was an Amma, Upar Mashtikoy Amma, and his male organ was an Amma, Vizeres and Azeres, like Kayimash and Emmer to fulfill the pasuk, Vishaval Nashim Yakim Aleha, that those that are low down are going to rule over it. He wasn't Amgushi, meaning that he's going out to bathe. He was a sorcerer, he used to make, didn't have to use the bathroom, and of course, as always, there are many pshatim here, the depth of exactly what's going on, more than the literal translation. But for now, as it's getting late, let's move on. Says the Gemara, I'm going back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah Daf Gimel said, they who are allowed to do laundry, you come home from Medina Zayam. Says the Gemara, 6 lines from the bottom of Yechesam and Aleph, Amar Rav Asi, Amar Rav Yochanan, Mishe'ein lo yel choluk echad, mutter lechavsei b'chol shamayit. You got one shirt, you're allowed to wash it a cholamayit. Master Rav Yirmi asked Rav Yirmi 1 second. What did the Mishnah teach us? Elu mechamsim b'mayim rabam tizayam b'chulu hanihin mishein le'el cholik achalai. Did the Mishnah list the heter if you only have one shirt? No. So why are you telling me that's included in the list of leniencies? I'll explain to you the Mishnah. The Mishnah means even in the case you have multiple shirts, and they got dirty, that's when you're allowed to laundry them when you came back from Dinasayam, etc. But now we have a new and completely different heter Rav Yochanan is teaching us. We only have one shirt, that itself is an allowance. On the last line, linen garments, you're allowed to do laundry on Chol HaMoed, and Rashi says, because it's not such a tircha, it's not such a bother to wash linen. Masav Rava asked Rava, mitbachas ayadayim, the hand towels, mitbachas, as we turn over to Yechesam and Beis, hatzabarim of the barbers. That's what's allowed. So what do we see? Says the Gemara, only the things in the Mishnah, the hand towels, the barber towels, we'll see a picture in a moment, that's what's allowed. When you have an allowance to wash all towels, the hand towels, the barber towels, is that only linen? It's even other materials. Amar bar Hadia Lididi. Chazili Yamishal Tveria, Demavkele Mishkeli Demani Kisna Bechol Demada. I saw that everyone was bringing out bowls of linen garments. They were doing laundry, but not all laundry, just linen because of the ease to do the laundry. And Maskla Abaya, you're telling me a story. I saw everyone going to do laundry. Who tells you that they were allowed to do it? And therefore, it's not a raya. Here's just a beautiful picture from that same Mishnayos book. I couldn't resist. You see all the different types of towels. You have the towel on the top of the guy going to the mikvah. You have the towel of the barber, and you have the towel that's like the handkerchief over here as he digs into a nice piece of steak. And these are entities that get dirty all the time, which is the reason that gives you the allowance to do laundry on them on Chol HaMoed. Says the Mishnah on Yirches Amid Beis. And now we segue into other melachos that are forbidden on Chol Hamoed. Says the Mishnah, Ve'ilu koisvim b'moed. The following items are allowed to be written. So what are we seeing? We're seeing that there's an isser to write on Chol Hamoed, but these things are mutter. Kedushay Nashim, Gittin, whether Kedushin or Gittin, Shaivrim is a receipt, Taitiki is a a will on one's deathbed, Matana, a present, Upruzbalin, a Pruzbal, Igeres Shom, a letter of evaluation, Igeres Mazain, a letter of support, Shitri Chalitza, Miyun, if someone does Chalitza, or Miyun is if the young girl walks out of the marriage, and Shitte Beirurin, or a document that says this, you selected a certain item, Gizin Rois, Bezdin, Vigara Shel Rishos. Just to point out, what is this referring to? What is the Isser? Whether the Isser is particularly because writing used to be a Maisa Uma, not everyone knew how to write, and that's why it's forbidden. But even if we're going to say that nowadays everyone knows how to write, it's still only going to be an allowance, L'tzorech HaMoed. It's going to have to be for a purpose. It's not going to be something you can just write for no reason. Says the Gemara, Amar Shmuel Mutal Aris Isha B'chol Hamoed. Says Shmuel a statement, Erisin, engagement, that's allowed on Chol Hamoed. Says the Gemara, why? Shema yikadmenu acher. Bit of a shidduchim moment we're going to have right now. Says Shmuel, you know why? Because maybe someone else will marry the girl. So you got to wrap it up, ink the deal, you're allowed to get engaged on the Chol Hamoed. Says the Gemara, I'll bring you a proof to Shmuel. What did our Mishnah teach us? Am I allowed to start Kedushin Mamish? Sounds like you're writing up the Kedushin, you're writing up the Erisin. Again, it's not really just engagement, it's much more, as we've spoken on many times. Excuse me, it was not a Chazal. They used to do Erisin, they used to do Tanoim separately, and that was Shtari Kedushin. So seemingly we have a Raya to Shmuel. La Shtari Psikta, that's not what it's referring to. What document are you writing about the Kedushin? You're writing about that which each side is going to contribute to the wedding. Rav Gidel Amarav, like Rav Gidel Amarav, famously he teaches on Rav Gidel Amarav, Kama Tanoisin Lebincha Kach Lekach, Kama Tanoisin Lebincha Kach Lekach, Omdu Veikitchu, each one pledges with their side, the husband, the wife, the boy, and the girl, what their parents will pledge to support. They get up, they do Kedushin, they undo the Kitshu, Kanu, and there is a Kinyan, Hainin Advarim, and Ikim V'Amir, and these are items that the Kinyan, the acquisition, works even by mere words. So says the Gemara, it's not necessarily a proof to anything that Shmuel says. It's not a raya that you're allowed to do Erisin. Says about 15 lines down, the first word line is Lema. Let's bring a different proof to Shmuel that you're allowed to do Erisin. We learned this already. You're not allowed to get married to Daf Chesem Beis. Ain't nice in Nashim Chol Hamoed. Not allowed to get married in Chol Hamoed. Loi Besula, Loi Amana, first day marriage, second day marriage. Loi Miyamin, nor Kidu Yimim. Why? Menesha Simcha Yiloi. Ain't Marvin Simcha B'Simcha. So you're not allowed to do it. That was one of the reasons. You're not allowed to get married in Chol Hamoed. So what's the obvious implication? It's only full-fledged marriage. Nisuin. Hala Arei Shari. To do Erisin, it's allowed. Raya to Shmuel. They're allowed to do Erisin in Chol Hamoed. Explains the Gemara, no, loy mi bayi kamar. From that, Bryce is not a proof. Loy mi bayi la'aris de law. You know what I'll tell you? That Bryce is teaching me you're not allowed to do Erisin. You know why? Loy mi bayi la'aris de loy gavin mitzvah. Neither say Erisin, which is not a proper mitzvah. El afilu lisanami. Even to do proper wedding, proper nisuin, the gavin mitzvah still is going to be forbidden, and therefore we do not have a raya to the opinion of Shmuel. So continues the Gemara, Tashema. Let's bring another raya to Shmuel. Again, we're trying to bring a raya that with Shmuel started off the Gemara. They're allowed to do Erisin on Chol Hamoed. The Tanya, as we learned in a raya, said to Shmuel, Ma'arsin, in the house of Shmuel, they did Erisin, Avaloi, Koinsin. They did not do Nisuin. They Erisin, and they didn't make a proper meal for the Erisin. Shmam, you know, we see clearly that Erisin is allowed on Chol Hamoed. Says the Gemara, Miyomer Shmuel, Shemi Katmenu Acher. Is that the reason? Why does Shmuel allow Erisin? Because someone else might come and get your wife. A fundamental shayla we have to deal with every single day. Baskol Yoitzes Vaimeris. A heavenly voice emerges and says, Bas Blaini Liblaini. This this woman is for this man. So the Blaini Liblaini, and this business deals for this man. So I asked the Gemara, how can you tell me someone else is going to take your Bas Mashert, Shami Kadmenu Acher, someone else is going to take your wife. We see clearly it's heavenly ordained. Answers the Gemara an absolutely incredible teretz. Someone else might daven. Davening could change anything, could even change heavenly degrees, and go and marry your wife. And now we're going to learn how to daven. Rava heard a certain man davening, about 8 lines from the medium lines, and Rava, this man was saying, Hashem, please, prepare for me this woman. I want to marry this woman. Let this shidduch work out. Amar lei. So Rav explained to the man, Loi tibay l'chach. That is not the right way to daven. Ichazilach loi azlaminach. Says Rav, Ichazilach. If she's meant to you, then it's going to be for you. She's not going to leave you. V'loi covers Hashem, and if it's not for you, it's not your basher. It's you pleading and begging God, please let Rachel be my future wife. But Rachel's not for you. Says the Gemara, Basa Hachi Deshamei Tekamar. After that, Rava heard the same man davening and saying, either I'm gonna have to die before her, or she's gonna have to die before me. I won't be able to bear seeing this woman marry another man, etc. Amar Lei. So Rava again responds to him. Rava responds to him, excuse me. Did I not tell you that's not the right way to daven? So we see that is the right way to daven, and not necessarily. It's true that you have your ordained, you have your shidduch, but someone could daven incorrectly and come and take it from you. We have a raya, 3 sources from all of Tanakh that what a shidduch comes straight from heaven. Me Hashem isha ish. That from God a woman comes to a man. Min ha'Torah when we see the chsevi an Lavan ubesuel. Vayomer me Hashem yotza davar came from God. Min havim dechsev avivim alayadu ki me Hashemi comes from Hashem. Min ha'ksuvim the second medium line dechsev abayis v'ay nachlas avois ume Hashem isha maskeles. We see 3 different sources that every shidduch comes straight from heaven. Vayomer Rav mishum Rabbi Yeruven ben Esrabilia. Once he's talking, he says another statement. V'amri lav mastin tatana. Some say it's a mishnah. Rabbi Yeruven ben Esrabilia. If someone is suspected, if they're talking about a certain person, it means that he obviously did something. If he didn't actually do what they're talking about, he did part of it. People don't talk about people for no reason, as they say. No story ever emerged about Rav Eliashiv, obviously. So if they're talking about someone, there's something there. Either he did the whole action, he did part of the action, or even had thoughts to do the action. And finally, let's say he didn't. He's really a tzaddik. He didn't want to do that over here, and he wasn't intending to, but it means he saw someone else doing it, and he was happy. That's what caused, at some level, people to talk about him. Master Rav Yaakov, ask Rav Yaakov 1 second. The first white line, the Pasuk says that Klal Yisrael, certain things that were Asher Loikein, they did not do Al Hashem Elokehem, on Hashem their God. So what do we see? That they were thinking things about Klal Yisrael even though they did not do them. Says no, there they were provoking Klal Yisrael, and therefore it's clearly, even though there was no basis, that's why they were thinking such. Tashma, another question. They suspected Moshe b'machan al Aaron kodesh Hashem. They were jealous of Moshe and Aaron, and what happened? Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak Amar Lamich Kol Echad Kina Leishtoi. Can you imagine? Every person warned his wife, saying, "Me Moshe, don't get near Moshe Rabbeinu. We don't want you to be with Moshe Rabbeinu." So what do we see? We see that they're accusing and suspecting Moshe Rabbeinu of being illicit actions. But what do you mean? We just said that there's never an accusation unless there's some truth to it. Explains the Gemara again. Also, Bisham Sinu David again, it was because of some hatred of Moshe. That's why they did it. Tashema, another Shayla Amar Rav Yosi, 3 lines into the white lines. That says, Rav Yosi, my portion should be with the ones that they suspect for something. Vein boy, and I did not do it. I want that schar. That I was suspected, I didn't do it. So we see that Rav Yosi and Rav Papa are telling over stories that they were suspected and they didn't do anything wrong. So why are you telling me that every suspicion means there was something real? Explains the Gemara like Kashal because the pasuk. One is a rumor that stops, so then there's no truth. One is a rumor that doesn't stop, there's truth. And similarly says the Gemara, what does it mean it didn't stop? Amar Rabbi Amar Li, my mother told me, Now, what does it mean? It means that in a town, the rumor lasts for a day and a half. Didn't stop in the middle. Then the rumor is meaningless. And 4 lines to the bottom. They only stop because of fear. Then it doesn't mean anything. They're just afraid. That's why they stop talking. But if they stop talking not due to fear, that's when it shows that the rumor has no validity. The rumor didn't come up again. You don't have any enemies. Therefore, the call is meaningless. We see how important we actually believe the popular opinion. We'll pick it up from the Mishnah in the next year in Mirza Hashem.